Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Uncommon Wealth Podcast. I'm your host, Phillip Ramsey.
And I'm Aaron Kramer.
Thanks for tuning in. You got Aaron Kramer and I talking about a topic that I feel like we would like to reintroduce. I'm sure we've talked about this in the past. It's never bad to just reintroduce this topic.
Yes.
What is the topic we're going to be talking about today, Aaron Kramer?
We are going to define what success is.
Yeah.
At least to us.
Yeah, define success. And I would strongly urge, and this will be something we say at the beginning, we'll say at the end, what is your definition of success?
Yeah.
It can't be anybody else's definition. Don't get sucked into it.
Yes.
It needs to be yours. The reason why is because if you have this definition of success, then nobody can take it away from you.
Nope.
It's easier for you not to get jealous of other people because your definition is going to be different. Everyone's is.
Yeah.
And it also will be something that kind of defines you as you go on. If you're talking to somebody's like, hey, what's your definition of success? That's probably an icebreaker I'm going to start asking because I think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Just because not a lot of people think about it that way. And there's a lot of areas that you could have. Like I have a definition of success in flag football But what is it in whatever you're doing? So if you're going to go to a financial advisor, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Is like, what's your definition of success? Because one thing that I really am cautious of is getting into a relationship and the other person doesn't know how to define the definition. Like, what does a successful relationship look like between us? If they don't know what that is, I usually don't even enter into the relationship. Like, hey, until you understand that, it's just not a really good place yet. Because I don't want to enforce or implement my definition of success into you. And I don't want to go 4 or 5 years and you realize like, this isn't where I want to go. It's just way easier if we can define it and then we can track it.
Yep.
And then we can kind of like monitor it as we go on. Okay. So what are your thoughts about defining success? You get excited about this.
Yeah.
You're goal oriented.
I am.
I love it.
So I think the first thing when I start looking at defining success is when is the time that you can sit back and say, all right, I've made it. You know? Mm-hmm. And I think for me, where I start, if I'm using myself as an example, is I can pay all my bills and I get to help families. Like, if I'm doing those two things,
you're doing okay.
I'm doing okay. I'm successful.
Right.
Like,
right.
I can put food on the table for my family. I got a roof over my head.
Yep.
And I've been blessed to have families that I get to help.
Right.
Like, what else more can I ask for?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I certainly can ask for a lot more, but like at the end of the day, I feel like that's a success.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so this begs the question because some people have a definition of success and it's very lofty. Like this, like I want a yacht on the Gulf side of Florida.
Yeah.
In 7 years, and like whatever it is, like whoa, okay, like that's not bad. So how do you know when you like make it very strategic and a very kind of a bigger goal, or like and you've kind of like you're just content? Does that make sense? I want to pay bills. I want to impact other people. Is really what you just said, right?
Yeah. So, but for me to break that, like, it's because I've learned. You get those big things like the yacht or things like that. For instance, Let's say I've been very blessed. I feel like I'm like almost to my dream gym that I have.
Oh, at your own house.
At my own
personal
house.
Dream gym.
Yep. So I'm about to max out my area. Like even my wife was like, why did money get transferred from our investment account over to our checking account? I was like, because I'm paying off my credit card because I ordered all my fun stuff. And I'm putting it together. I have one machine coming on the 14th, and it'll be pretty much finished. I have like odds and ends I'll add, but nothing big ticket.
Wow. That's a big accomplishment.
Yeah. I love it. Like people even hear me talk about it, and you can see me light up because it's my hobby.
Yep.
Okay. Guess my feeling of like after this is done.
Yeah, I'd love to know.
It's not great.
Huh.
Like, yeah, it's there. Cool. All right. Well, what's next? Like, it's like, I didn't get this fulfillment, or I don't get this amazing fulfillment out of like seeing it all be all completed. Like, it's nice, it's cool, but now if you would have asked Aaron 10 years ago, I was like, oh, my life would have been complete.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
That's all I need.
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't need it.
Yeah.
It's a desire. It's a want. It's my yacht, right?
Huh.
But like at the end of the day, why mine sounds so simple for success is because that's the stuff don't take away from me or that I can't get enough of.
Yeah, right.
That fills my tank.
I do think there is something in like fulfillment in like a worldly thing is just unattainable. Like, hey, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to be fulfilled. That's just not true.
No.
Right? Like, it has to be eternal minded when you're like, I feel like I'm doing something.
Yeah.
I'm impacting others, and like that only comes from the Lord. So to me, there is some kind of like success that it'll always be kind of yearning for something more.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think there is some truth to making a goal where it's kind of a lower bar, because everything else is then you're thankful for.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Because I'm so thankful I've been blessed to be able to get this to this point where I can have this gym
Right.
at home. But like at the end of the day, I don't know, like your goals have to align with your core values. And then like you have to be, I don't know. It's just interesting. Like, as we're talking about it, I walk in like from working on like working and designing the gym, because we just moved into the house and I'm working on it, and I don't walk in with just like being like, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. But if me and you walk away from an appointment where a client cried or we did something great, I am on cloud 9 for like a week.
Right.
You know, like, and I'm still like get like goosebumps thinking about those appointments where I think about my gym. I'm talking about it right now. I don't get a single goosebump. You know?
Yeah.
So it is one of those things when we talk about success, really, I feel like for listeners to like get down to the core reasons of like why you want what you want. Like if you want a yacht or things like that, is it because or a car, you want a Mercedes or something like that? Are you a car person? If your answer is no, then why do you want a fancy car?
Yeah.
To look cool at the stoplight?
Yeah.
I know some people that got buku money and they could care less.
Yeah. Drive a Taurus.
Yeah. You know? So like,
yeah, that's a good point.
I don't know. So I think it's the internal reasons of why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah. I think it's one, to just write it down. Two, I would then challenge our listeners to have your spouse have their own definition of success.
Yeah.
One, 89%, 90% of you will not do this. I get it.
Yeah.
But for the 10 that do, be interesting. Like, just get alone, Saturday morning, wake up. What's your definition of success when it comes to like your life? Let's just do that. In your life, what does it define? And then you can even tailor that down to even more, like in different sections. Like, let's say it's my relationships, my spouse. What does that look like for success? Your work, what does it look like for success? Health, it's another one. Maybe even like financial, like that's obviously why we're doing this podcast, but, and then like maybe even your faith. Do you have like a success path where you're like, I want to achieve this? Here's the deal. I love Vince Lombardi's quote. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. So that's helpful.
Yeah.
Cause it like makes you strive to be working at something. If you're not, you're falling back.
Yep.
So let's talk about some financial successes that we've heard throughout the years, and ones that like we get excited for, because I'm getting excited more and more while you're thinking about people who want to be generous, like doing donor advised funds.
Yes.
Like they are getting excited about what their money could do even after they're around.
Yeah.
That gets me excited. And I hope that we can have more and more people who have that money and also have that mindset to
help others.
Right. And so that's something I'm starting to get more and more excited about, are the people who are like, I want to use my money for impacting other people, not just myself. And how can I have people around me help me in this vision?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Dude, it's so, I think as you say this, it's funny because, you know, we sit down in meetings together and we've been blessed to have some bigger clients down with us recently.
Right.
And these clients do that. They want to give. But they all say the same thing that seems in common. I don't know if you caught this, but I catch it because here we are supposed to help people with their money, and I feel like sometimes we get just as much help from them as they help us.
Amen.
And so they're like, it's not my money.
Yes.
And you're like, and I know the answer of this, but for some reason, every time it said, it catches me off guard, and my mind goes blank. I'm like, what do you mean it's not your money? I'm pretty sure it's your money. No, they're like, it's God's money, and if he's entrusted me with this much, I need to go help other people. And I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, great, let's plan for that. But it's still just a reminder that they got there because of that attitude.
It's true. And when they got there, they have a different attitude with it. They're not just like hoarding it with clenched hands.
No.
They're like, okay, how can I bless somebody else?
Yeah, because they've had that through the entire time. They're like, how can I keep blessing people?
Yeah.
And so I am a huge believer in if you're a business owner, I'm not saying if like a teacher, that's different, or a police officer, or firefighter, or something like where you're blessing people with your lives. But these business owners, like you trust him, trust the big guy upstairs. He'll keep blessing you and you keep showing him that you can handle his money.
Yeah, I do think that it's counterintuitive for people who aren't like of this nature of giving, right?
Yeah.
Let me tell you another thing that I've found, and that brings up the next point, is you're not going to get to a point where you're like, okay, when this happens, then this. So like when I start making more money, then I will start giving more.
Yeah.
Or when I start making more money, I'm going to start taking my spouse on dates. Whatever it is, let me tell you something. Stop that mindset right now. Like you never arrive. You never will arrive. You'll get that promotion, and then that promotion money will just kind of go foosh and kind of gone. So my strong like plea to people is do things now. When things are hard, start giving more or start giving something. Like even when it's hard. And when you can start having the discipline now with little, you'll have the understanding and the discipline when you have more.
Yep.
And when things do come. But the whole, hey, when this happens, then I'll do this. It never seems like it actually comes to fruition.
It doesn't.
So that's why I think the defining of success, you have to make sure that it's not something where you're like, if I get this, then I'll get that or do this. Like that's a slippery slope. So that's, I think, a point I really wanted to make.
Yeah.
For our listeners, for sure.
No, but this is all great. It just focus in on the core value of what you want, like, and what actually will make you happy. Like, because things don't make you happy. It's, people. What do you want around you? What do you want things to look like? What do you want your business to look like?
Right.
Like I know me and you talked about it. Like, I have no desire to make $1 million a year. I have no desire. Like, every study shows that, like, after it's like 600,000 or something, like, happiness flatlines.
Yeah.
So why would I want, if I have if I'm managing a book that produces $1 million plus, guess what? I am going to be paying my staff, and UWP will be doing a fantastic, but like, not that I'm even anywhere close to that, but like,
right. So I think let's talk about this, because you said a couple times that I think it's valuable. Core values. Yeah. Like, so once you have defined your success, this is where it's like 2.0. So if there's only 10% of people who are actually going to define their success, there's only like 3% of those 10 that are actually going to do this. Yeah. But now, like, try to figure out why is that value, and like what value is that bringing out if you finally do like achieve your success. For example, for you, I want to pay my bills, provide for your family. Yeah. And then I want to impact other people, you know, like, and I want to just keep talking to people and try to impact them. So I love those two things. And the core values of those, I think, are wholesome, biblical, if you will, but like good morality, good morals will help you like, oh, that's interesting. Versus like, I want a Ferrari. I want a Lamborghini. Like, and then you're kind of like, but why do I want a Lamborghini? Is it because I just want to be the one who revs up my engine and people look at me like, oh, okay, interesting. Might want to work through some of stuff. Like, maybe that isn't something that you really do. I don't know. And like, I would say, even if you're like, hey, I've always wanted a Lamborghini because I had one as a child, and like, there's something about like, okay, sounds great.
That's like, cool.
Yeah, that's like, okay too.
I tell people all the time when we look at our core values, like, you'll know what means a lot to me, because if you come to my house, you'll see like my gym, right? Working out means a lot to me. You'll never see me drive a really cool car, because I don't care about my cars. Right. Like, I think like both of us share that same thing. Mm-hmm. Like, we're not car people.
I like Acuras. Okay?
Yeah. But like, you're not like need the new fancy car. Like, no, but like, true. I know people that are really into cars, and that's their thing though. Right. Like, they love cars. They can tell you all about it. You can tell their engine. They can tell you what muffler they have. Like, all the things. And you're like, oh wow, that's their thing. Yeah. So when they have a cool, really fancy car, I'm like, that's your thing. That's cool. Yep. But if you had a super fancy car, and I was like, why? It's like, oh, it's dependable. Oh, okay. You don't know your core values.
Yeah. True.
Or you're not following them.
Yeah. So that's cool. I think that defining success is helpful when you then write them down. And then when you come to an advisor and say, hey, these are my financial kind of like things that I want to be held accountable to. This is what I define my success as.
Yeah.
And then they can create a plan in order to achieve those things.
Yep.
Not the other way around. Like, no, you need a Roth. Well, I never said that in my thing. Like,
yeah, you might not need one.
Yeah. I'm not saying you don't. I just think like you got to make sure that they're showing you how your definition of success and the plan they're put together shows you how you're achieving those things.
Yep.
And then the more detailed I would say that people get with us, the more appreciative I am about putting a plan in front of them because it covers those details.
Yeah.
Versus like, hey, I want $1 million when I'm 50. Okay, why? Like, oh, well, I never really thought about that. Like,
the math shows that I should be okay. It's like,
yeah, well,
okay, for what?
Yes, right. And so I think that when you work with somebody like Arron and I, we can start kind of helping you with the backbone of why you would want $1 million if that ends up being.
Yeah.
Or you can see like, well, I don't spend $1 million. I don't know if I need that over here. Like maybe you do, maybe you don't. But you can start seeing like where the numbers and financial planning does help you come up with some bigger goals that you can be like, hey, this is my definition of success. I'd like to have $90,000 in retirement coming in, you know, and there's a lot of variables that come into that, like Social Security, for example. If you're older, there's a lot of different things, but then we can show you like, hey, your definition of success is 90,000.
Yeah.
And here's the ways that you can achieve that. And then we're going to hold those things accountable to make sure those accounts grow to what they think they are. Now, what happens if they don't? Like, there's a lot of different things, but I love when people come to us and they have a really clear expectation. I love it. Let's go. It's good.
I think it's awesome. I mean, it helps everything. And I think a good advisor wants to know those things. They want to know your values your core values. Because, I mean, when it comes to, you know, you come into the office and you say you want the Lamborghini like you're talking about. It's like we can ask why. It doesn't meet your values.
Yeah.
What's changed? What's changed in your values to where that's more valuable?
Right. Another place where I've seen this kind of work is like, hey, I want to retire when I'm 55. Okay, why? What would you do? You know, like, okay, well, then I would go to some place and I would just pour into kids there. Well, why don't we do that now? Like, huh?
Yeah.
Like, why can't we just make that the goal earlier? Why does it have to be till 55? Like, again, when this, then that. I don't feel like ever works. And when I get to this age, then I'm going to do that. No, let's start today. If you really want to pour into kids in Ethiopia, then let's try to figure out how to get you over to Ethiopia.
Yeah. Let's start now. Like, it may not be full time.
Right.
And we'll get to full time.
Maybe.
But let's start doing it now. Because, like, this is the thing.
Right.
Some things sound really good in idea,
Amen
in theory.
to that.
And then you go do it and you're like, oh, yeah. Never mind.
Yeah.
So, Ethiopia, if that's the thing you want to do, and we get you to 55, you retire, and let's say we push you to do it, and you get there, and you're like, I don't really like, this isn't my jam.
Yes.
Now what do you do?
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, now I'm really sad and depressed. I don't even have a job.
That's true.
So it's like, well, I guess we're just going to keep trying to lay him up there till you find one.
And what I would say that doing this for, 11 years now, what I would tell you is the uncommon pursuit that people are on is constantly evolving.
Yeah.
So why not start that evolution earlier than later is basically the reason why we have this business of like, let's figure out what you get excited about. And then let's pour into the places where you really do get excited about, and the things that you thought you would get excited about, let's just go hire somebody that you don't really actually like.
Yeah.
You get it.
Yeah. That is,
right?
This is amazing. So I hope we get more than just a few people that do this, like to really think about what you would do. So like that happened to me. Actually, funny story real quick. My wife asked me this. She's like, if you took a day with a friend, what would you do? And she said, you can't work out and you can't go see a movie. And I was like, well, I would.
Good question, Ashley.
Dang it, I don't know what I would do. And it really hit me. I was like, I don't do anything but those two things and work.
Huh.
So I take those three things away. I am very boring. So I have now come up with some things I'm going to try to get into.
Good.
But like, it is one of those things that just start thinking about, because even if you do work a W-2 job, let's say you work for somebody else and you're going to get into retirement.
Yep.
You need things to do.
Yeah.
So have hobbies. Like have things that you love to do.
Yeah. And I love talking to people who are retired and they're like, I'm busier now than I ever have been.
Yeah.
Those are the people I like. I like you.
Yeah. So.
Okay. The other thing I would say is like now for business owners, because I know there's a lot of business owners that listen to our podcast. I think there's a way that you can make your goals inside of your team and your business as impacting others. So newsflash, Aaron, this is where we're going to go. We've always had like these, hey, what are we trying to do numbers wise? But the new thing is that how many more people are we going to impact?
Yes.
And how can we define that? And how can we measure that? For me, impact is a big thing. So is it for you. And so I know a lot of our team because we're all kind of unified in that.
Yep.
But how can we go impact other people? And how can we hold ourselves accountable to doing that? That gets me excited. And I feel like it just gives us a different mindset together, unified, to go and help other people. Instead of making it about us, about like, hey, what numbers do we need to hit? Okay, great. But if we go impact more people, I'm sure the numbers will follow. If they don't, that's okay too. Let's just go help people.
But the numbers that we chase are number of households, you know?
Yeah.
Which is very uncommon for most advisors. Like,
right.
I know in our world, if you talk to another advisor, they're always like, how many assets you manage?
Yeah.
How many assets underneath? You know, it's like, what's your AUM? It's like, how many households do you help?
Yeah.
Like, how many families have you helped make a change in?
Yeah.
Like,
right.
That, like, or have entrusted you with your help. Like,
that's good.
So, so like, I think it's so important. And you've done a great job of this in making sure that the team, our current team, like we all do have the same core values.
We really do. And if you don't, it's not going to be a good road.
Yeah. And like all four of us, or five of us.
Yeah, we do.
Like, we're not even like all the same personalities.
No.
But like when it comes down to the core, like we all have we're all very unified in our goal. And sometimes, don't get me wrong, like it's funny that we all have the same goal and values, but sometimes we'll butt heads.
Oh, for sure.
On like, are we doing this? Are we getting this done? And it's like, yeah, we're getting it done, you know?
Yeah.
So but it makes it for a fun team to work on.
Yeah. So that's my, I guess, challenge for those business owners out there. It's like, how can you create goals that you can measure by impact? How can we be more impactful instead of the numbers on the bottom?
Just tracking the numbers.
Yeah.
Like,
seems way better.
It's so much better. Like to get asked, you know, how did you impact your clients there? How did we impact our clients? Like,
yeah, it's good.
Oh, great.
Right.
Or your customers, you know, instead of being like, how much did we sell? Or how many assets did we bring in? It's like, blah. Truly. So, okay, define your success. Not only is this going to be helpful for those people who interact with you, but the people that like you interact with, and it helps you define your core values and the reason why you're doing what you're doing. Anyway, everyone's happiness faster.
It totally does. Happiness is not in a dollar bill.
No.
I'll tell you that right now. But it is in like truly like you can have happiness here.
Yes.
And there's ways to do it. But when you start focusing on things like money, there's just never enough.
Nope.
There's never enough. You go, $25 billion. Okay, but I want more. You know.
Yeah. And every study shows that. Like I know I'm like a dead horse with this, but like every study shows if you chase the dollar, you'll never get it.
Never.
You'll never get there. But if you chase a purpose,
you're going to get there. Right. Because when things and challenges come, the purpose is going to get you through that.
Yes.
The dollar bill is like, you can only throw so much money at it.
Yeah.
But, all right. You've been listening to Uncommon Wealth Podcast. I've been your host, Phillip Ramsey.
And I'm Aaron Kramer.
Until next time, go define your own success.
Yeah.